We went on vacation about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, down to Tennessee. My brother has a timeshare there between Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Beautiful area up in the mountains, the cabin deal. And of course, this is a resort. It's got all the deals. It's got the pools and the indoor, water park and just that whole deal. So we stayed on the Strip in this cheap hotel. And the idea was we'd just sleep there at night. Then we'd go hang out with my brother and enjoy their place during the day. And that's what we were doing. And when we like to go on vacation, I like to eat. And so you really got to exercise if you're going to keep that up. So every morning we go to exercise. So we found this local park, and we'd hang out there in the morning. The kids, of course, they had their cousins there, would play tennis, and they had a walking path, and so we'd go for a run. Well, the first morning that was fine. The second morning we get back there, and there's somebody on the tennis courts. They're squeegeeing it off. Some kid is walking some ball machine up on the court, and there's another guy sitting there. We thought, oh no, now there's probably something going on, and the kids won't be able to play tennis. So I thought, well, my wife said, why don't you just go ask him? And so I did. I went to the guy. It looked like he was in charge, and I asked him. I said, can we play tennis here? Is there something going on? He said, no. It's just my son's just going to practice, and they're open. And then he asked me where we were from, and so we started telling him a few things about our life, and he started sharing, and all of a sudden, probably the biggest blessing of our whole vacation, really of this whole year, happened. We just began to share about Christ, and you could tell right away what was important to him. Right away, he shared that he was a 6-time cancer survivor, that 5 of the times had been malignant cancer, one in his throat, his lung. He went on and on. I don't remember where they were all at. And he shared how God had used that in his life. And something really struck me. He didn't just say it once. He said it a lot of times. He said, I'm so thankful for my cancer. I don't know about you, but when bad things happen, I'm not really all that thankful for it. And he said it over and over and over in the course of this probably 35, 40-minute conversation. Now, while he was talking to us, he's writing something. He gets his business card out and starts writing something on it. And I have to admit, I was a little intrigued. Wonder what he's writing on that card. He didn't tell me. He just sharing. He'd stop and talk for 10 minutes and write a little more, and then he'd stop. And there was just this glow on his face as he's sharing about what God had done in his life. And I came to realize he wasn't thankful for the cancer itself, but what he was thankful for was how God had used the cancer in his life. You see, he didn't know the Lord, and through the cancer he came to God. God used the cancer for him as a platform to share Christ with other people. And he was openly crying as he's sharing about some of the people that he had an opportunity to lead to Christ, and how God had used him in his church, and how his son was helping with the kids, and how this had all been possible because of his cancer. It was just one of those times when you're encouraged. It was the highlight of our whole vacation, just that half-hour conversation. Well, we find out at the end, at the end of the conversation, he says, oh, by the way, and I don't know if there's a picture, here's Bill, the guy that we were talking to, and we're just sharing with him here. And he shares with us that right at the end, he gives me this card, and he shares us that he owns this Three Bears General Store. And he gives us the card and says, I'd like you to have some free ice cream on me. And so there's this coupon for some ice cream at this Three Bears General Store. Now, I admit, when I was driving past this place, I saw it. If you look in the middle, it says Jesus Saves. And I thought, I wonder if the guy put that up there so that Christian tourists would come. And I have to admit, that was just this fleeting thought as we drove by one time. I found out that that's not why it's there. Is what he believes. So anyway, he leaves. He says, well, I'm going to be back. I'll be back in an hour. Go do your exercise. So we go do our exercise. We come back, and he comes back, and his son's practicing and whatever else. And he says, you know what? I want you to come and spend some time with me at the store, and I've got this day lined out for you. And we weren't sure what he meant. And, this is one of those deals where you say, you know what? I don't know where the wind's blowing, but let's go with it, And we'll just be like tumbleweed today. And so we went and showered and went back to the store. Bill introduced us to his assistant, and essentially he assigned her to take care of us for the day. Now, this little store here isn't a little store. In fact, I learned now it's like 40,000 square feet. It's as big as our whole church is. It's about the same size. It's jam-packed full of fun stuff to do. And what he did was set us up for a whole day to just do nothing but enjoy his store and what he had for us. And so we started off, we went to their little grill, whatever we wanted to order, we ate. And after we were full, we went to the gemstone place where you mine for gems. And I saw how much the prices were for one bucket. I thought, wow, they gave us 3. And my brother, he tagged him along. So we were doing this all together, all 10 of us. And so we do the gemstone thing, and we find out what gems we have and all that. And then we go to this place where they shoot pictures of you, you know. So we did the stagecoach deal where we robbed the stagecoach and had this grand old time. And, you know, I thought, surely I'm at least going to pay for the frame and the pictures. And they wouldn't let me do anything like that. And then we went off and saw he has live bears. So we went and saw the live bears. And then when we go back, this was actually one of my favorites. It's aqua massage. If you haven't tried it, I'm going to suggest you do that. You just lay in there and these jets just shoot over you. And after about 20 minutes, you don't know who you are. You don't care who you are. He gave us this envelope, over $100 worth of gift certificates just to spend in his store. Of course, we bought fudge. You know what else? That's why we were running. He had friends all over the place, and so we went to the place next door, right next door, and it's got go-karts. That's something we always like to do. Them were the fastest I've ever been on. They were great, and we got some free go-kart rides. He set up a deal where we could go to a country show. Tickets very, very expensive, something we wouldn't have ever done. And all 10 of us went to this high-end country show, and then afterward we went to putt-putt golf at night. So it was like black light putt-putt golf. And then we topped it off during the day by having that ice cream that he... It was one of those deals that you just don't ever expect to happen to you. You know what I mean? And I got to reflecting on what was God trying to do in all that? Because, you know, when something like that happens, it's a God thing. And so what's God trying to do? I think the first thing I thought of was that we'd made the pledge on the parking lot. We didn't really want to do it this time. I'll be honest. There's been how many buildings? There's been chairs, and there's been, you know, carpet, and there's been lights, and now a parking lot. And surely someone else can do it this time. And yet God called us to do it. When He calls you, you do it. And you just trust that it's going to work out. And you know what I've learned all over again? You can't outgive God. You cannot outgive God. I was worried about Kristen's school and wondering how we're going to, you know, we want to go on vacation and do some big things. And in fact, one of the things that had happened was we were hoping to go to the water park there, this big Dolly World water park, and really they had jacked the prices so high we decided we weren't going to do it. And I think He knew that, and I think He sensed that, and He wanted to bless us. And so He did. You can't outgive God. But there was a greater lesson that I took away from Bill Delosier. And it was this. He celebrated his cancer. I have some things in my life that I'm not always real excited about. And there's some difficulties that I've gone through that, you know, kind of sometimes can wrap me around the axle, you know what I mean? Just like you. And I haven't appreciated him very much. I haven't looked for the good in him. Bill was absolutely very clear. He was thankful for his cancer. And I thought, thankful for your cancer? He wasn't thankful for the cancer, but he was thankful for how God used it in his life. I heard something the other day that we're living in the dot for the line. Bill understood that. You see, we're living in the dot. The dot is right now. It's just a short time, right? Really short time. And sometimes God allows things in our life in this dot that we don't like. But God's main goal isn't our happiness. It's our character. He wants to prepare our character for heaven. He wants to prepare us for eternity, for life in heaven. And sometimes He allows things here that will grow our character. I don't like it. You probably don't like it. Bill loved it. I thought, what's wrong with me? maybe, just maybe, I've been living for the dot and not for the line. Maybe I've got it backwards. Maybe I've got to realize it's not going to be perfect here. Maybe I've got to realize God's going to allow some things in the dot so that the line is really good. Bill taught me a lot about celebrating my difficulties, about not seeing it as this horrible, horrible thing, even though there are some horrible things like broken relationships and physical cancer and financial problems and whatever else. But to thank God that He cares enough about me that He'd allow some heartache in my life so that I can become more like Him. And you know what? Bill has changed me forever. I know that. Bill has changed me. I'm now living for the line more than the dot. And that changed with his testimony and with his attitude about the cancer that he had in his life.